What's the story, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Near Post Podcast. Delighted to say we've got a guest on today, Gav from LFC Daytrippers. Gav, how you going?
I'm good. I was really good until you told me I had to talk about Ireland, and then my mood went down a little bit. But no, look, I'm in good form. It's Monday. It's nearly Easter. But hopefully, we're getting towards the end of lockdown at some stage, or a
Yeah,
little lift on restrictions, even so we're allowed outside our house. But overall, yeah, I'm good. The international break's nearly over, and Liverpool are back at the weekend. Thank God.
Yeah, I have to agree there. I'm not a big international fan myself, especially when you have to look at what we put up with on the regular. Just say hi to a few of the guys. Real Ball Talk should be good. Big up, lads. Thanks for watching, as always. Doug is in the chat. How we doing? We're all good. Thanks very much. Anyway, we'll go straight on to that game against Luxembourg. I can't even say it. I watched all of it because it's just shocking. Like, any words for that performance?
Look, we've seen people from the FAI and stuff coming out and giving Stephen Kenny that I don't even think it's a dreaded vote of confidence. I think there's people in the FAI are just banging their heads against the criticism that he's getting. Stephen Kenny's a good manager. You know, he's proven at most places he's been. You've seen him in the League of Ireland. He's gone to Scotland. He's brilliant with Dundalk, European football, and all that sort of thing. And I've watched League of Ireland for a long, long time, and he's a good manager. You know, and I think he deserved the chance to be Ireland manager because I was getting sick and tired of Trapattoni and then throwing O'Neill in their easy options. They should have went for Michael O'Neill instead of Martin. Anyway, but what he's inherited isn't like he's just inherited it now and he's working. This has been coming for a good couple of years. You know, players at the end of their career, like Robbie Keane going back a couple of years ago. All these players just, you know, ending their careers, and you look what they have now. They've young players, a lot of young players. You see Gavin Bazuna in goal, former Shamrock Rovers player at 16. I think he's with City and on loan at Rochdale. And we're just gonna, to me, right, it seems that we seem to hold not a high expectation, but a higher expectation than we actually should. You know, when I looked at that team the other night, I kind of went, I know 3 or 4 of them, right? I don't think a massive interest in international football, and that's not just Ireland. But when I look at it, I go, young team, okay, is he 8 games in now, something along them lines, and it's not gone well. But lads, look what he's dealing with. Look at the youth he's trying to deal with. It's going to take time. I know there's going to be a camp in June that might do them the world of good. But right now, Ireland need to be looking at really low expectation with the players that we have, and the players that we have are most championship players. There's League One players in there. It's all happening, you know. So for me, it's just a case of there's no point in changing it. Who are you bringing in to do better with this group of players? I can't. I don't think there's a name off the top of your head. So at the moment, you need to just go, listen, I know it's a World Cup campaign, but he needs time and he needs to be able to go in and say, listen, it's not going to be good, but we're going to get a style of play about us. We're going to get these young players to get more experience and it'll get better. You know, the whole idea of telling Stephen Kenny their time's up after 8 games or whatever it might be, we might as well just go back to Trapattoni, O'Neill and Mick McCarthy. And we know, even when we qualify for tournaments, no one liked watching it. You know, the sort of way. So I think it's as much
yeah,
as much of an opportunity now to just go, do you know what? Clean slate. Who cares? Michael O'Neill done it up the north. He only won one of his first 18, I think. And he lost to Luxembourg and he lost to Lafayette and all these. And then look what he done because he progressed that team. And it was the same team after 2 or 3 years or whatever it might be. And look how good he done. And they were good to watch. So I think he needs time, and I think we just need to lower the expectations right down and go, do you know what, we're starting from a really low base here with young players, and let's see where it takes us. But you're not going to get there after 8 games.
yeah, I hear that, but like I'm not gonna lie as well. When you see the team sheet and stuff, there's a lot of players I don't even know who they play for, like Collins, Brown, these sort of lads. Like never heard them in their club career, never hear about them. And then they're just in an Ireland squad, they're playing for Ireland, that sort of thing. I'm not even gonna lie as well. I like you say after a Liverpool loss, like it does affect your mood, you're pissed off, whatever. Like I'm annoyed Ireland lost, but I don't really care. Like I'm a bit of a bandwagon hopper myself when Ireland are going all right, you know, that sort of way.
Yeah, there's loads of us.
But yeah, Saturday night, to round that up, because I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, it was a shambles, but at the same time, look at the players Kenny's working with. They're just not good enough.
Dan brings up a good point here. It's international football as well. These managers get 4 to 5 times a season to implement their structure. Like, you have to think this is a big pool of players coming. Some of them, most of them probably never played together. A lot of young players mixed with kind of older players on the way out. It's easy one for us to just point and blame at the manager. But that squad, we've always been a team that kind of overperformed. And then the second we start playing at our own level, we're getting kind of judged. A bit like I can even remember like when we bet Germany there a few years ago. Like, none of them players have ever been world class, even been good top flight players. They've always been average at best. So yeah, it's like you said, it's an easy one to throw and point the finger at the manager, but who do we bring in to change it? Like,
in my opinion, you don't. You leave him, because
exactly
the circumstances around this as well. Like, if you remember, it's is it the Europa League, whatever the fucking thing is called, that they played. Jordan does. What was the last thing they played?
Oh, the Nations League.
The Nations League. They just made this stuff up for the laugh,
just to make the games competitive.
But the thing is, if you look at that, like, there was so many COVID cases. There was players coming in, then they were leaving. Then he was a close contact. He had to leave. Didn't they go away to, was it Slovakia? And a couple of them had to come out because of COVID last minute. So a lot has happened to him. Yeah, a lot has happened to him. You know, and still, when you look at this squad now, like, Bazuna plays in goal because, well, Travers wasn't very good, but you know, first choice goalkeepers aren't there. You know, Kelleher isn't there. Kelleher probably would have started, but he's not. You know, so he's being dealt a bad hand with a lot of things that's gone on. Don't get me wrong. You know, Peter, if we're 2 years down the line now and this is still going on, you go, listen, this just isn't happening. You know, there's no progress. But what I'd like to see, maybe not over this campaign, but certainly going into the next one, that's when I'd start judging them. You know, forget the Nations League, and they can make it as competitive or put a name around it. It's not. They're glorified friendlies. That's it. Okay? Yeah. And you experiment. This one, look, it's gone badly already. You know, I don't have many games left the group, but we're not qualifying. But I'd love to see some progression in that. And then the next campaign you come to, you go, you know what? This is where it starts now. You've had a year and a half, or you've had whatever, 2 years, and now you've had enough time to integrate the squad or get the players you want in. And, you know, he's not transferring players in, but get a good look at them and make the nucleus of a steady squad that doesn't have COVID around it. And a style. And then if the style and that nucleus of that squad doesn't work, then you hold your hands up and you go, Stephen Kenny, this isn't working. But for me right now, with all the stuff that's gone on with COVID and players out, and, you know, he's new to a job, you have to give him time. You absolutely have to give him time.
Most definitely. Right, we'll move off international and we'll go back to our home in Liverpool, a home away from home. Mm-hmm. I think we'll start off with them transfer rumours, will we?
Konate, yeah. Just seeing David Ornstein break that this morning when I woke up. I think they're in big discussions now. It's slightly advanced. I see Chelsea are interested as well, but I'll be honest, I haven't seen a lot of Konate. I kind of looked into it there. I see he's got quite a big injury record for a 21-year-old. Like, Gav, have you seen a lot of them, or what do you make of that?
Do you know what? I've seen him a handful of times. But all the hype was around Upamecano. Yeah. And a couple of our lads have said, lads, Upamecano's good, but Konate's better. And, you know, Shawnee, that does podcasts, was Keith, Grizz, they've all said Konate's a better player. The injury record is there, and, you know, I've seen people online today saying, well, look, it was 96 days he was out, but that was during the summer. But that doesn't matter. He wasn't fit for 96 days, you know the way. And what are we going to do? Just hope that he times an injury? It doesn't work like that. He's young. He's young. He's really, really good. He's highly rated. I was surprised at the price, around 40 million euros, which is about 35 million pounds. But apparently that's a buyout. So my trepidation around it was, well, he's probably worth 60 to 70. COVID brought into it as a 50, but now it's 35. What's the catch? Now I believe it's a buyout, so that's fair enough. The injury stuff would worry me, and it should worry Liverpool fans, because we've seen what's happened. Van Dijk, Matip, Gomez, you know, they've all fallen. All, you know, if it was a Grand National, they wouldn't have even declared a winner at this stage, because all the runners have fallen. But I've been talking a lot to Shawnee about this today, and Shawnee's like, Gav, listen, all players have injuries. It happens. There's no way they haven't done their research on them. And that's fair enough. You have to kind of trust them. you know, with regards to that. On a playing scale, what I've seen of him, really, really good. Strong, powerful, good recovery, you know, attacks the ball, everything you want in a centre half. I don't know, though. I don't know. Because when I look at it at 40 million euros, I think we could go for a safer bet. Now, having said that, they could end up doing 2. You don't know. They could not do Kabak and they could do Konate and one other. You know, mine. I always like Konate. I really like Shores and I really, really like Botman. So I think you could definitely do Shores or Botman for that sort of money. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I like
Konate.
Shores. From what I've
Shores
seen of him.
and Shores at the moment, apparently you're wearing an Ajax tonight. Apparently he's being bombed out at Ajax for some reason after only signing a new deal. So I don't know what's going on there. But look, all players have injuries. If you go back and look at Virgil's injury record before he comes to Liverpool, it's probably the same as Konate. But I remember speaking to our lads a couple of months ago, because Grizz is talking about this about a year
Grizz
ago.
knows his football.
Yeah, he's talking about this fella about a year ago, but he kept coming back to you, lads, the injuries, you know, and Keith was the same. So, look, who am I to tell them what to do? You know, the way it could be something where they've gone, listen, he's had that injury, he's over it, they've assessed him, he's fine. But on a football and in footballing terms, he's very, very highly rated, and he's someone of that ilk that you should be looking to bring into the club.
Yeah, I see that the chatters chatting about the injuries here. Keane says apparently the operation he had in his hip, which caused him issues, worked well. So I don't know if they're maybe looking at that. But my concern is, how many centre-backs are we going to have in here, all injury issues, and all of them probably feeling like they could be a first-team player? Because I know Gomez won't be happy to sit on the sidelines. This Konate lad, if he joins, doesn't seem like a lad who'd be happy to sit on the sidelines either. So what way are they going to work? Because we're not going to play 3 at the back.
No.
That's for sure. So it's just, for me, looking at it, if we, like, are they going to keep Kabak? It all really depends. It's very rare we see Liverpool go in for a player this early as well. So
Yeah.
For me, I feel like it could be speculation a bit more, like blown out of proportion. I'm not sure, really.
A couple of our lads think that. They think it's a smoke screen. They think the Athletic have ran with this, haven't they? And, you know, look, the Athletic don't care if that transfer happens or not, but it doesn't look good on the Athletic if they report this and they go big on it and then nothing comes of it. You know, they'd be absolutely lashed out. And you know how social media is these days. You say one thing wrong and the whole world comes down on top of you. But, you know, I get your point because, and I genuinely think it all depends on the decision they make around Joel Matip. I genuinely believe that because Virgil's going to come back, right? And look, there's still there has to be a bit of doubt in your mind. Is he going to be the same Virgil? Now, if he's 85% of the old Virgil, he's absolutely fine because he's fucking brilliant, right? But it's still there. It's still a massive injury that he's coming back from. Joe Gomez, this is probably his 3rd big injury now, and you're going to be concerned about him. Kabak, you don't know about. Phillips, of course, has done well, but I think it all revolves around Joel Matip. If they decide that they're keeping Joel Matip and they're signing a centre half, I don't think they sign Kabak. I think they go for a big signing at centre half and they look to say, right, Virgil plus Gomez or this new signing and Matip as the backup, because Matip has to fall to backup now because of his record injury wise. I think he's probably better than Gomez if they're both fit constantly. I think he is, because I think he reads the game better and I think he understands what we're trying to do a bit better. That's just my opinion. I think Gomez is still young and can be a fantastic centre back, but if they let Matip go, they are most definitely going to hold on to Kabak and they're definitely going to sign a big name centre half. It just depends for me what they do with Joel Matip, because you're right. You have Virgil coming back, you have Gomez coming back, you know Matip's injury record, and Kabak is 20 years of age. You can't go into a season on them. You really can't, because all it takes is for Virgil or Gomez to break down. You're relying on Matip's fitness, which doesn't work, and Kabak is still 20 years of age in a new country, so it's a difficult one. I think they might do 2, lads, and I don't think Kabak will be one of them. I really do.
I think they have to sell Matip, like Dan says.
Yeah,
he's just made of ice. He's a good player. Actually, he's fairly good centre half when he plays. He's good on the ball, early good. He ticks all the boxes, bar his fitness record. I just think it's shocking. You just can't rely on him. Like, you see Matip plays a couple of games. Like, I don't know, does he break down and trade it the whole time as well? That's probably what happens as well. But I've seen a bit of Koundé I think maybe United or Chelsea will be in for him. He'll be big money though. He'll be 60, 70 million, do you think?
He's a fantastic defender.
Yeah.
But don't forget Konate and Marseille and widespread
Yeah,
rumour.
you were linked with him in January.
Yeah, and apparently he was ready. He was on the runway in Marseille, ready to fly to Liverpool and seal a deal. And then Marseille pulled the plug because they couldn't find a replacement. And that was probably down to Liverpool leaving it too late. They should have went in early in January and said, if that's the man we want, we give them the money they want, and they have a month to find a replacement. Or you have 2 weeks to find a replacement, then we do a deal. But there's loads of names out there. Konate is only one of them. That seems to be the one that's risen to the top at the moment. But you never know, lads. Like, it all depends. Like, if you rate, for argument's sake, if you rate Per Shores higher than Kabak, right, and Per Shores is coming in at 30 million quid, do you pay the extra 12 million to get Per Shores? I think they do. I think they do. Yeah. I think they go and they say Shores and Konate and Gomez and Van Dijk, and I don't care who plays and who's on the bench and who moans. You either get in the team or you don't. You're a Liverpool Football Club. You're not playing Championship football here. Yeah, this is Liverpool Football Club. You make the decision your own. It's as simple as that. So it's going to be an interesting summer with regards to the centre backs. But I think just watch the Matip situation, because if they decide to keep him, they know they're walking a tightrope with regards to fitness. So they're going to have to make doubly sure on the next signing that they make.
Yeah, we still have that mystery man Ben Davies. Hidden somewhere. I think he's lost in Liverpool, but we might see him get a few games soon.
Do you think?
No, I don't think so.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Like, you know,
I definitely think that was for leverage.
Yeah, but will they do that deal late? You know, he's supposedly signing a pre-contract with Celtic, and all of a sudden he's at Liverpool, and he's trained. He's been on the bench once, I think, maybe home to Brighton, I think.
Yeah.
And then he hasn't been seen. But having said that, he's a championship defender. He's a mid-table championship defender. And you're telling him to walk into one of the best teams in the world and defend the way we do. That's hard enough for the best. So you never know. It could be a case of bedding him in, and you may see him towards the end of the season. But I find it very difficult to believe that Ben Davies has a long-term future at Liverpool.
Yeah, just, you're on about the two centre backs there. You think we'll do two. Do you think FSG pay that money? Because you see the way they acted in January.
Yeah,
just 2 million on Davies. Kabak, I know he's a loan with obligation to buy, or option to buy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you think what makes you think FSG are gonna get the money out and pay the money for these players?
We've had our endless arguments on this. Arguments about structure and stuff like that. The reason I think it comes back to Matip again. If he keeps Matip, he signs a big one. All right. If he doesn't keep Matip, he makes two signings. It could be Kabak, and say for argument's sake, Matip goes, he keeps Kabak, and he has to sign another one. He has to. He just has to. It's as simple as that. So he has to go Konate or one of these, right? So, but if he keeps Matip, it might be only one. If he lets Matip go, he makes two. But FSG, I get it. Like, I was upset at FSG in January because I thought you left it too late. You tried to be too clever, in my opinion, and this is what you ended up with. You know, they're going to miss out on top four, in my opinion. They have to win the Champions League to get back in it. Now, people will say, "Oh, that affects our money and stuff like that." It may do, but it affects your money now. But if it affects it again, then you're in serious trouble. So you have to do some sort of gamble. You can't just sit back and go, "Oh, we're not in the Champions League. We can't spend money." It's not going to cut it. Now, I get the idea that, the COVID situation, like Liverpool have, I don't know how many games they played at Anfield, but they're losing £2 million a game every time they play at Anfield on match day revenue, right? And then you have shops aren't being able to open, and the whole COVID situation around the world, and reduce that TV advertising and stuff like that. So, and TV money. So they could be down for the guts of 100 million. We won't know that until the accounts come out next season. But they can't just turn around and say, "Oh, well, we don't have it." And this is why my argument has always been, they've been brilliant owners for me. They've made mistakes and they've rectified those the vast majority of the time. And their model works if you're successful. But as soon as you're not successful, you have to step away from your model in some way and say, look, if our model is to take in 40 million in the summer and put 50 or 60 million to that and give 100 million to Jurgen Klopp and he signs 3 players, fine. But if this goes badly for the rest of the season and they get 20 million in and they've reduced revenue, they're still going to have to put the 80 million up there. And it's not an 80 million that you've just earned on the season. It's an 80 million that you're going to have to say, we only earned 50, lads. We're going to have to find 30 from somewhere here. We have to do it because you get into a rhythm where you don't get into the Champions League. Now, I'm not saying this squad that comes back for next season as it stands now is not good enough to get into a Champions League, all fit and well. But you've seen what can happen to a squad, lads. You know what I mean? You've seen how bad the injuries can be. So, for me, FSG will have to step away from their policies a little bit just to ensure that they soak up what's happened over the last year and still put themselves on a very steady footing going forward. So we'll have the summer will tell, but I think they will have to put up considerable money, and I have a feeling they will.
Yeah, well, I'll let Peter go there. Go on, Peter.
I think we can all agree they do need to reinvest. Like, that's without a doubt, because if we don't, we're just going to be left behind. But the issue is, how much do we have to reinvest? Because, like you say, if we need 2 centre backs or we need one big sign at the back, you know, that front three is coming out under a lot of scrutiny now. With all of them aging, you're not going to get big money for them in a year or two. More like, when do we start to replace them? Because I know we brought Jota in and he had that unfortunate injury. He is coming around now, but there's still maybe 2 other lads to replace. Midfield, I'd say we're kind of okay at the minute with Genie on the way out though as well. But like, what do you think they moved? Did they just go for centre backs in the summer, or did we try get an attacking player?
I think he's definitely doing a centre back. There's no doubt about that. You know, that's written in stone. I think he definitely does a forward option. 100%, he does a forward option because I think he moves Origi on. And a lot has come out about, you know, Firmino hasn't been the same, Mane hasn't been the same, Salah's been excellent. But they're playing every single week. You know, they're being asked to go on there every single week. Now, Jota was a great sign. He was on fire when he started, and you could see how they were getting the 4 of them in the side. You were seeing how we were dropping one out, or they were able to take someone off after an hour and throw Jota in, or vice versa. And that's rotation. But in a game, or, you know, before game, whatever it might be, full game, half game, you know, 20 minutes, whatever. But that's rotation, regardless of what way you look at it. Then Jota goes down, and you're left with these 3 lads. Now, Firmino, people will tell you his legs are gone. You know, he's finished. He'll never be the same player. You're judging Firmino as a player that's not stopped playing football for about 4 years. Just not stopped playing football. He just hasn't stopped. Then he has a COVID break in the middle, which people say he had a break for COVID. It's not the same. It's not the same. You have to be around the club. You have to be. Their break is 4 weeks from the end of May till the end of June or whatever it is. That's their break. They're finely tuned athletes. If you throw them out of that, they're going to be affected. Firmino, that's not a break for Firmino. What Firmino needs is, and this is where I go to the forward. Origi leaves, I think they're going to go big on a forward option. For the simple reason is, if you have Firmino, Salah, Mane, Jota, and one more, you've 5 there, and you've 5 that you know can turn it on. Yeah. But if you can reduce their average amount of games over the season, you're not seeing the tiredness, you're not seeing the fatigue, you're seeing sharp players who are also competing with each other. Firmino knows he's not competing with anybody, especially with Jota. He's not competing with Shaqiri, and he's not competing with Divock Origi. He's just not, you know, and their mindset can just drop that little bit. So I think it's definitely a forward player with Origi leaving. I think Elliott will come back in and be part of the squad. I think Shaqiri will go. And I think he does a midfielder. I'd love to see Genie stay. I'm a big advocate for Genie when Adam's staying at the club, because I think there's midfielders in that. I think there's midfielders at the club that are a lot less reliable than him. And people will again tell you that Genie's legs will fall off. Genie's, you know. And I'm kind of going, yeah, but Genie's the same. They just keep playing him. You want to be able to have 6 or 7 reliable players that you know you can put on the pitch and turn up 20. They're available 30 league games of a season. And everyone gets a little bit of a break and rotation. Keita hasn't been that. Oxlade-Chamberlain hasn't been that. You know, Jones is still young. Milner's getting on, like, you know, he's 35 or whatever it is. So
yeah.
And this is what causes the injuries. You know, players being asked to constantly play. And with this season, the way it's so compressed, 3 games a game every 3 days, it's so hard on them. So to judge them over this season, I think is harsh. But if I was to put money on it, centre back, midfielder, forward, absolute certainty.
Interesting take on that.
You heard
Boys
it here
saying
first,
here,
guys.
Rafinha and Neto would be amazing, although we may need an out-and-out number 9. Rafinha is the man for the
Pedro
job.
Neto was the man.
Yeah, big
Neto.
Pedro Neto fans on the page here. It's just really, it's hard, like, because you know Salah, right? Like, I think when you said there about the motivation, I think Salah's that type of player, is always motivated. He wants to be the best. He always wants to score. He's just a cold footballer, out and out. Firmino, I get what you're saying, but it is hard. It's hard to judge them players when they are fatigued, even if they're getting, like you said, the 4 weeks. It's nothing really for players who've been playing top standard football for 4 years. I'm with you on the Genie as well. I would love Genie to stay. He's an absolute engine in that midfield, but it's hard to know if he does, because I can't see them forking out the wages for him again with him coming on in age, and I think they will try and reinvest.
It's an interesting one because, like, you know, the rumor is that Wijnaldum's looking for 3 or 4 years, and I've seen money touted at 200 grand a week. There's no chance he's looking for 200 grand a week. It's just it's not happening. Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk are earning 200 grand a week, and as good as Wijnaldum is, he's not at that level. He's just not. All right. But on a footballing term or a footballing basis, I'd have one if not 2 players out of that squad midfielders before Wijnaldum, because you know
Definitely.
he's going to turn up. You know he's going to be available, and that availability goes to the top of the list for what we've seen this season. You know, you can have all the skill in the world. You can have, you know, he's this and he's that, but how available is he? And that's huge now in this Liverpool squad, and that's what's affected him most for me this season. You know, people will say, well, they're not going to sell Keita. But Keita only has a year on his deal after. I think he only has 2 years left in his deal now. You know, so you're going to have to make a decision on him in the next year anyway, aren't you? You're going to have to make a decision. Offer him a new deal, or he's going to start running it down. It's a tricky summer. There's no doubt about that. It's a tricky summer. But like I said, when you look at it, FSG, what are they going to have to do? What's Klopp going to have to do? And he's a genius. The man is a fucking genius. So you could probably give him 3 £15 million players, and he'll have them absolutely flying for you. But I think when they put everything into perspective at the end of the season, they are going to say, listen, we do need, when Alden goes or not, we do need something extra in midfield. Probably more of a creative aspect. And Thiago's as creative as they come, but from a slightly deeper position. I'm talking someone that absolutely creates goals and scores goals. Forward line. Forward line, if you bring someone else in there, like people are talking number 9s, it's Haaland, isn't it? Like, he's just unbelievable. I see somebody saying Daka from Salzburg, he's a big prospect as well. But it's somebody in there that is going to be a threat to the front three, but also work with them. I always see them as mini squads, if you know what I mean. So a mini squad of 5 up there, where you go, you plan it out, and you have this game for him, and it goes on like that. And if he's in form, he stays in, but this fella's ready to give him a rest for half an hour because we're flying and we're 3-0 up, and you keep a fella ticking over. It's very tricky, you know. Midfield wise, our is the one, Leon, that a lot of people are going on about, but it all depends who he goes for, you know. And I think
I see we were linked with what do you call the lad from Leipzig with the ponytail? His name's just gone there. Sabitzer.
Yeah, he's their captain and everything, though. I can't really see him leaving.
Marcel Sabitzer.
Yeah, but see, it's all right for us, right?
Yeah,
and you see the comments. Everyone, they can name whoever you want. We know at the end of the day, these guys, we can't really fault the recruitment so far, bar maybe a couple of players that say Naby Keita, but that's just kind of through injury. I trust them fully in the recruitment. They've always made good decisions, and they don't really tend to go with what the fans are saying, whatever. They just go who they think would be the best fit for the squad. And I think they've always been right. So, like you said, I see all the Haaland and Mbappe talk. There's no chance for me. Like, that is 0% chance.
It's huge money, isn't it? It's colossal money. For Mbappe in particular, I seen something the other day that Dortmund have named 150 million quid or something on Haaland. I think they're just trying to just get everyone away from them this summer. He, of course, has a buyout clause of 70 million next summer. So that'll be interesting, unless he signs a new deal with them, you know. And that could be, and Dortmund can do that. They can get them down to, your buyout's coming. Let's offer you X amount of money for an extra 3 years, and we push our buyout out by 2 years and it goes up to 150 million. They've done that before, but it's You'd love to see Haaland. I'd take Haaland over Mbappe. I'm just telling you that. Just because of the style of player he is, I think he's just so
I
cold in
agree.
front of goal. I think, we have pace down the wings and stuff like that. But Mbappe's outrageous. But for me, I just look at Haaland and go, every day of the week. He's a bit about him. He's strong. He's physical, both-footed. He's just so good in front of goal. And I think he's a more of a doable deal than Kylian Mbappe. A lot is being made about the Nike stuff, and would Nike row in with some sort of manoeuvre to get him to Liverpool and subsidise money and stuff like that? We don't know. But like you said, they don't care what we think. We're just here talking about it and what we give our opinions and stuff like that. But I think it's fair to say that a centre back is needed. I think it's probably fair to say a midfielder is needed regardless of the Genius situation, and and a forward is most definitely needed. Like, I could see a world where Genie stays, they sell Oxlade-Chamberlain and bring in a midfielder. I could see
That's
a world
dream
where
world.
Yeah, but it could happen. It's not.
That would be nice.
It would be, but there'd be plenty of takers for Oxlade-Chamberlain. There's no doubt about it. West Ham probably be the obvious one, but Origi, there'll definitely be takers for him, especially on the continent. For me, Minamino, I don't know what's going to happen there. Talk of Sevilla being interested in him and Shaqiri in a double deal, but I can see a world where Genie stays, a midfielder comes in, Oxlade-Chamberlain leaves, Origi goes, and you bring somebody else in, and they do a centre half, if not two, depending on Matip. And if would you be happy with that? Like, if I said to you at the start of next season, right, we're losing Shaqiri, Minamino, Origi, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Matip, but we're bringing in 5 to replace them. Would you be happy? If I gave you the 5 of, say,
absolutely.
if I give you a 5 of, say, Konate, Kabak, right, our Elliot back into the squad, and say a Neto or a Rafinha or whoever it might
Snap your hand off.
Well, there you go. It's not a dream
Snap
world.
your hand off.
It's a very productive. It's a very productive summer, but it'll still be one to hard to navigate, because you have to remember the situation we're in. We're looking for players to bolster the squad. Every other team are trying to do that, and every other team know Liverpool are coming. They're going to do their best to resist or make it really difficult for us. That's just the way. That's life, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've overperformed. Like, if you look on our starting 11 has always been fantastic. I'd say we've had 12 or 13 players at most, though, who are good enough to start on that 11. I always think Origi's been off the pace. Minamino, Oxlade-Chamberlain's never really done it for me. I just feel like if you compare ourselves to even United or City, their squad overall is miles better in terms of who they have coming off the bench. And I think this summer is where we really need to make a name for ourselves and play big in the market.
It could be, but you talk about City squad is ridiculous, but that's a different game they're playing. It's a different game they're playing, and you just have to accept that, because the world is accepting it. FFP doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's there and all. It's only there in name.
It's been scrapped, I've seen.
It's not being scrapped. They're going to loosen it. Basically, they are going to officially loosen something that's being loosened anyway. That's my take on it. So that's a different issue you're dealing with. When Abramovich wakes up and decides he likes football again, they can do what they like as well at times. But what Liverpool do, you talk about United. United aren't in the best shape with regards to finances. It's going around a little bit that they're struggling, because they're paying monumental money to people. Like, that goalkeeper's on 100+ grand a week. Henderson,
350.
Henderson, the guy is on 350, close to 400 probably. Like when you're giving out £500,000 a week on goalkeepers, I don't care how good they are. But with Liverpool, you could probably name their 11. But if you subsidise that with, a centre half, another midfielder, another forward, I don't mind working with a small squad if the availability is there and the quality is there. I don't want to pad out a squad to say, look, we 25 players, that's great, but fucking 8 of them are brutal. So there's no point, that kind of way. So it's all about a balance, but at the same time, there has to be some sort of insurance for me going into next season, where you say, you know what, that fella, we're signing him, and he fucking plays every week. He's ready every week, And I always keep going back to Park Ji-sung at United, as much as I loathe them. But Park Ji-sung was just there every week, and it didn't matter where you asked him to play; he just went out and played. And
Yeah.
he was, and Ferguson always spoke so highly of him because no matter what job he gave him, he done it. And he knew if he needed the job done, that fella was always ready. He was always there and ready. So that's what you need. You need a little bit of that. And we have got players like that. We've been extremely unfortunate with injuries this season because if you look at how they've happened and stuff like that, and, you know, midfielders into centre half, then they're getting injured, you know. Like, if you look at it, you have Van Dijk, you have Gomez, then Henderson goes back and Fabinho go back. They both end up injured. Matip is a centre half. He's injured. You know, Keita can't get going. Oxlade-Chamberlain can't get going. You know, Firmino's just running and running and running. Wijnaldum the same. Thiago comes in, gets injured, back after 3 months, straight into a cesspit of what's going on. You know, it's just been so much this season. And I've said it before, Peter. You get to the start of next season and you line our squad up, you go, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I'm definitely comfortable with that. And I think, you know, between me and you, if we sit here on the 4th of July or the day before the season starts and I say to you, we have the front three, we have Jota, we've one more in. And then in midfield, we have Fabinho back where he should be, Henderson, Thiago, Wijnaldum might stay, we don't know, Jones, Milner is brilliant around the squad. You know, Thiago, and maybe one more. You're going, Jesus, that's great. And then you look at the back four, and Tsimikas, he's being lashed, Tsimikas, but he has got COVID, he has got injuries, he's moved to a new country. You have to give these fellas, you know, we always say, like, if a fella's doing okay, you say, you let him bed in, let him see next season. Tsimikas is that. You know, then you look at, you have Van Dijk back, you have Gomez back, you don't know a Matip back, you don't know. So you might have two new names there, but they're looking to actually push into the squad. You have Kelleher, you have Allison. When you stand that up at the start of next season, I'm confident of going and winning the league title. Simple as that. Because you've seen them do it. You've seen them do it. And, you know, City are just, you know, ridiculous. Chelsea are on the up with Tuchel, as much as I hate to say it.
Definitely, Tuchel's looked fantastic, hasn't he?
Well, I can't stand the man, but yeah, they have looked really good with Tuchel. You know, you're never gonna know what you're gonna get. You just don't know. You know, you're telling me their squad is great, but every time I see them play, if they don't have a certain 11 on the pitch, they seem to struggle. For me, you know,
that's their manager.
Yeah, but it's not even that. Like, if it's the manager, fair enough, but I don't see an awful lot of change in United. I see a back four, a Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw. I see a midfield that's usually Fred and McTominay, and then he picks from Pogba, Fernandes, Rashford, Greenwood, Cavani, right? He hasn't put Van de Beek in there. You know, Matic he uses the odd time. And when you actually look, if you go back and look at United's teams, right, they don't change them an awful lot. They don't change an awful lot. And to me, that tells you that it might be him. But at the same time, he's probably looking, going, he's not good enough. He's not good enough. He's not good enough. And that squad isn't as good as you actually think it is. So it'll be interesting for a lot of clubs this summer. And it's going to be difficult. I think this COVID is going to make it difficult for a lot of them.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Just touching on United there, I actually disagree with you there. I think Solskjaer is making that squad look a lot worse than it actually is. Like, Van de Beek's a quality player. You've seen him with Ajax. You've seen him with Holland. Oh, absolutely. He would suit us so well as well. Yeah. Just him, for example, what he's like playing McTominay, Fred over him. They're not half the player he is, in my opinion. If he gets that 3-year contract that he's rumored to be getting, like, I'd be delighted as a Liverpool fan. Just touching on them.
Well, I've had loads of discussions about United, and when it goes well, Ole is great. When it doesn't go well, the owners are terrible. You know what I mean? It's you know, you never kind of get a balance. But I look at United, and the Van de Beek one's interesting because if Van de Beek's at Ajax now, and we're known when Alden's leaving, I guarantee you Van de Beek is on our list. Absolutely 100% on our list because of what he does in midfield. You see him at Ajax. He presses, he's comfortable on the ball, he goes beyond strikers, he gets in forward positions. He's brilliant at what he does. He's a perfect number 8, and they won't use him because it's a bit like Chelsea under Lampard. Lampard had all these players, and he was just putting them on the pitch and hoping they'd work. And they weren't working.
Yeah.
Kai Havertz, Werner, whoever it might be, they weren't working. And that was down to Lampard. It's a bit different with Ole. I think he's seen something that works. It's limited, but it works. So he's sticking with it. You know, I don't think he trusts Matic. I don't think he trusts... there's one or two I don't think he trusts. And I think he's sticking to that and hoping for the best. You know, if you give him loads of money, what will he do with it? I don't know. But
he's had lots of money, though.
Well, he has.
That's
He
what
has
I would say.
Yeah, he has. But when you go through the team, you know, all right, the Maguire's a signing, Wan-Bissaka's a signing, you know, but Van de Beek, he's not. I just can't get over not using Van de Beek. I don't know how Fred gets a game before Van de Beek. You know, McTominay I like, but if you're going to bring in another player, then and you go, I'm going to rest Fred or McTominay. How do you pick Matic? How the fuck do you pick Matic?
Man has no legs now, like,
you know. But to me, he's looking at, I have 6 that can defend, and then I'm going to put, you know, Pogba, Fernandes, Rashford, Cavani, whatever it might be, or Greenwood in there, whatever it might be. And he's looking to hitch it on the break, and he's looking to take chances when he can, you know. And that's his outlook, but it's a limited outlook. And I think when you scrape the surface at United and they get a couple out, I think they struggle. And you know, people will say, well, Liverpool had a few and they struggled. Mate, we had our 2 fucking centre halves playing centre back, or 2 centre midfielders playing centre back. Stop, will you please? You know, United have had a couple out and brought in a centre. All their centre halves have been gone, and then our midfielders have been gone because they've had to play at centre. There's no comparison. But when I look, I still go back to it. The start of next season, give me the squad you have. If you take out 3 or 4 and put in 3 or 4, I think Liverpool are as good as anyone. I really do.
Yeah, see, I like what you're saying there about if you take out 3 and then put in another 3 or 4, but the ones that are reliable, because I think it's not whether a case of if these players aren't good enough or whatever. It's like, I'm uncertain that if this guy's out, he's out for a week or 2. Can we bring in this guy, or is he going to have issues with his fitness? Is he gonna be injured? You know, if Ox comes on, I'm thinking he's going to get injured again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think if you have reliability on your side, right, I think it reduces injury. Because let's be honest, do you think we have as many injuries this season if Oxlade-Chamberlain and Keita are available for 90% of the games? Because I don't.
No, definitely not.
I think a lot of injuries are coming down to just being overworked and being asked to play every 3 days. Like, we all talk about rotation in a standard season. We're playing every 3 days. Like, we do podcasts, right? And all I felt like I was doing was watching a game, doing a podcast on a game, waking up the next morning, doing a preview on the next game, watching it, doing a reaction to it. And this was just a never-ending, you know, circle. It just kept going. I never got a chance to do a podcast about, do you remember how good John Barnes was? We never got a chance to do that because we're just commenting on games every fucking day.
Non-stop.
So, you know, and that's just us, 3 idiots fucking talking about football. You know, it's not professional footballers having to do it day in, day out. And I think if you have people available, it helps. Actually, the help it has for reducing injuries, in my opinion, is huge. Absolutely huge. And then, of course, you have, do you trust them? Because I think that has come up. You've seen it this season. Minamino plays at Palace, plays really well. They win 7-0. Not seen again. It's like, I tried him, it worked, but I'm still not sure. He goes out on loan. I don't think Origi's trusted. I don't think Nico Williams is trusted. You know,
they're not good
enough. And
maybe
maybe so, but you have to look at the environment they're in and the situation you're in. You might trust them if you have your centre midfielders playing centre midfield rather than centre back, but you're not trusting them when 2 centre midfielders are centre back. You have to put Alexander-Arnold in every week. You have to put Robertson every week. Otherwise, you're playing 4 midfielders at the back. It doesn't work. Or you're playing 2 midfielders and 2 really inexperienced fullbacks. It just doesn't work. With United, the trust thing is different. He doesn't trust Van der Beek to play the system that he feels gets him his results because they're limited. He doesn't trust Van der Beek to go out and go, you play your game. Lampard used to do it. Go out and play your game and see where we get. Didn't work for him because he's not tactically good enough. But United should be treating Van der Beek as, you know what, he's our best fucking centre midfielder. Let's build it around him. But it's not. It's come to with United a really cautious approach. For Luke Shaw's been brilliant, by the way. But 4 at the back, 2 sitting in front. Don't fucking concede and rely on the lads up front to do the business for you. But the better teams will pick you off. And the trust is more at United because of they're doing okay, but they're not trusting probably their best midfielder. At air stage, the trust is there because of the situation we're in. But I think availability changes all that. You can lose Henderson or Fabinho for a couple of weeks because, you know, our air plays for us now, and he's grand. He's there every week. But you can't do it when they're centre back and then they're not playing, and it's all over. And then throwing a young fella into that, and you're kind of going, Jesus, this could ruin him. There's all sorts that goes on. It's a mad one. It's a mad season. It's just crazy. But again, on top of it, we're gonna have to do something in the summer to make this not happen again. These injuries will happen, but make the impact, reduce the impact. And the way to do that is to have players that you know when you call on them, they're there.
Yeah. One thing we said we'd have to touch on, news broke a few hours before the stream, just on Aguero. He's going to leave City at the end of the season. Like,
What a player.
where do you rank him in terms of Premier League all-time greats? Because for me, he's right up there.
Yeah, he is up there. There's no doubt about it. He's phenomenal, a phenomenal footballer. I think what kind of knocks him down a little bit might be his injury record.
Yeah.
Because he's fairly consistently over the last. He must be in England 10 years now, is he?
Always gets
he would
injured.
be. He would be because he
has
won
been,
the title for them 9 years ago, the most famous final day of all time, in the Premier League anyway. But he's so fucking good, lads. Like, I've watched him play, I don't know how many times, even against Liverpool, and he hasn't got the greatest record. I don't think he scored at Anfield for Man City.
No, he hasn't.
But he's a brilliant footballer. He's one where he's not a sort of player, Henry you'd pay to watch. Suarez you'd pay to watch. I don't know if he goes into that category of, I'd pay to watch Aguero, but you wouldn't mind watching him because he's so good. He was quick, great feet, strength, vision, everything. He had everything, and he's a loss. He's a loss for the Premier League. We were doing a quiz last night. He's the most hat-tricks in Premier League history with 12. I learned that last night.
Wow.
A brilliant goal scoring record. He's going to get a trophy, or not a trophy. He's going to get a statue. At City, which they'll probably claim cost about 100 million to put into the accounts. But yeah, an absolutely fantastic player. I don't care who he plays for. When you see a player like that, you have to stand up and go, he's just been outstanding. And they talk about David Silva at City, another fantastic footballer, and might go down as the greatest of all time, but Aguero runs him close because he's been there more or less since the very start of what they've tried to do, and what a player. Absolutely brilliant.
I think Yaya is their all time. That's a different. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had argument on it.
He moaned. He gave out. He started crying when he
didn't get a birthday cake. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't mention Yaya around this man. He thinks he's better than Frank Lampard. So
just my opinion, but
Yaya was a brilliant footballer. Brilliant footballer. Yaya. Yaya, he's at Barcelona. He's a deep kind of midfielder, and then you see him at City, and 13-14 they beat us to the title, and he was outstanding. He dragged them. He dragged them for the last 10 or 12 games. A brilliant football. They've had so many good players, but that's what happens when you spend all that money.
Money talks.
Aguero, I think. Yeah, I think Aguero and Silva have to go down as probably 1 and 2 for me. Aguero was unbelievable. Well, where's he going?
Don't know. You see, with said Americans going back.
Yeah,
you see, Tevez went back early enough. Like, he definitely had a few more years at the top, and probably I seen links with Atletico. I seen PSG. I don't know, to be honest. He definitely has 1 or 2. I'd say maybe the big clubs wouldn't go for him just because of that injury record, but I'd say he might go back.
Suarez is rumoured to leave Atletico, isn't he, on a free? He only on a free deal. So could it be a case of Suarez goes, they bring in Aguero for a year, and then he heads off to Argentina, then finish his career, maybe something along that?
Possibly, yeah.
Great
go
player.
Back.
Just on that, would you take Suarez back at Anfield?
Yes. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, for
100%. What a player. But he's 35. I think he might be 36 in January. But there's so much in him. Yeah, he's just so much in him. The will to win from that man is just outrageous.
Yeah.
You bring him in. Does he still want to be the main man at a club?
That's the issue.
I presume he does because he's been the main man at Atletico. But if you got a chance to get him back at the right money, why not throw him in there? If you're telling me that, if you're telling me you're lining up Haaland and you're going to get him next season, but we're going to bring in Suarez for a year until that happens, it makes sense, doesn't it? It makes absolute sense.
Definitely.
Yeah, he'd be one of them. We get this is dream scenario, obviously, but we get him on a free this year or whenever his contract runs out. He probably won't play every game, but he'd be ideal to bring on. We're facing a low block like Burnley or something. We can't break them down. Suarez comes on, wins a penalty, or just produces that moment of magic and he gets that title that he deserved in 13-14 that he never got. Dream scenario, but
and like if he came into Liverpool and you had got the front three lads and you had got Jota and you said, right, Suarez is in there as well, and we're gonna use Mane, Salah, Jota in the wide positions, and we're gonna alternate Firmino and Suarez. You just go, yeah, no problem, because you don't turn down Luis Suarez. He's fucking brilliant.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't care what age he is. If you get him for a year at the right money, with an eye on replacing him next year with whoever that might be, I think it's worth a gamble. I really do. He's absolutely mental, but he's so fucking good at football.
Just before we finish transfer talk, like on bringing players back, Coutinho, like you say, we need another midfielder. What do you think about Coutinho making a comeback?
No, not for me. You know, people, and I probably would have up until last summer. I really would, because people will tell you, no, Coutinho was this, Coutinho was that. Luis Suarez done the exact same. Luis Suarez done a big 2-page spread in one of the papers to say he was being bullied at Liverpool and he wanted out after Arsenal bid to 40 million and £1, if you remember right. But then he just came back and just went mental and he was absolutely outrageous. Coutinho done much the same and was brilliant when he didn't get the move. If you remember from August to that December or into
he never stopped trying.
He was brilliant. It was his best season on average for Liverpool. Them if you measure that couple of months against any of those, the same couple of months in the year going back across the Liverpool career, that's his best. It's his best. It's as simple as that. Goals and assists. I would have done it up until last year, but now I get the feeling he's gone too stale. I think he's been. Now he's won a European Cup with Bayern Munich, of course, but you know he's been at Barca and then he's with Bayern, and now he's back at Barca, and I don't hear anything about him, and I think it's just gone too stale from. I don't think he's the. Like I said earlier, I want someone that creates and scores goals. But in air midfield, I think you need someone that creates and scores goals, but it's a bit more direct, a bit more physical, if you know what I mean. Whereas Coutinho's a cuter sort of player. So not for me, but you never say never. Anything could happen. He could turn up back up at Liverpool. But on a purely football basis, I just, not that we've gone beyond him, I think we're just different to him now. Where it revolved around Coutinho when he was here, I don't think it revolve around him now, and I think if you don't revolve a team around Coutinho, I don't think you get the best out of him.
Nah, for sure. Like I seen a thing. He's not even playing for Barca now because I think the more he plays, I think Barca still owe Liverpool a little bit of money over that. I don't know the ins and outs, but
40 million or something like that.
I don't think they owe Liverpool anymore. I think.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, I think Liverpool might have cashed in that debt with somebody else and got paid.
Oh, okay.
So the debt is actually owned by someone else. Now I could be wrong on that. Someone may correct me on that, but I think Liverpool have been paid. They just make it out that they still owe Liverpool. The debt is still there, but I don't think it's to Liverpool anymore. And maybe a case of the more he plays, the more wins he gets, the more is owed out. But Liverpool, I think, have been paid for it. If they haven't, yeah, that might be a case that they don't want to play him because they pay Liverpool or they pay whoever owns the debt more. But I think he's a great footballer, don't get me wrong. But I just look at that Liverpool side now and I say to myself, do you put him in a front three? Because I don't. I think their front three is all about pace and hitting you hard and being direct, and he's more of a creator. Do you put him in midfield? I don't. Besides Thiago and Fabinho, I think there's not enough work rate there for me. There's not enough. You might put him in with a Henderson and Fabinho, and you say you're the free man or Thiago's the free man in that one position. But I just think we've evolved beyond it. I think we're much more of a powerful side. And more, not direct. People think direct, I'm hitting the ball long. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking direct in our physicality.
Pace and power.
Yeah, exactly. Pace and power. That's what I'm looking for. So, but again, lads, it could happen. You don't know. But for me, I'm just looking at going, I don't know where he fits.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's enough speculation on transfers for now. Just for finish up, we'll wrap up Liverpool's season. How do you think we'll fare out in the Champions League? Because I'm very undecided. Like even with the league, I change my mind every week, and I have done for the past 3 months. Like, what do you think?
League wise or Champions League wise?
I think we all agree we're not going to make top 4 in the league. So,
well, I don't think we're going to make top 4.
No.
I don't think there's enough games left. I think we've 9
Same
left.
as.
But like we seen against Fulham where he names a strange side and they get beaten, right? And then he goes out with a strong enough side in our last game at Wolves, and he wins, right? And I think he'd given up at Fulham, and then when he's seen a couple of results, he said, oh, "Hold on, there might be a smidgen of a chance here." So he wins at Wolves. If they win at Arsenal and Chelsea drop points, he might have a go. He might have a chance.
I can't see Chelsea dropping points though.
But yeah,
I don't know. You don't know. There's 5 points in it. Right? And I'm looking at it going, I think he'd keep going at it until he loses one. And if he loses one then and he's 6 to go and he's 5 or 6 behind, he knows.
Agreed, yeah.
I'm not getting that. But I think he'll keep trying until he loses one more. I think if it goes beyond 6 points, I think he'll knock it on the head. Champions League, I don't think we have a chance of winning. I just think
I'm the same.
I think there's a couple of factors in that. If you had Henderson, Van Dijk, you had all them in the team, you're going, yeah, bring it on. And Real Madrid, I think, are very gettable that we can get at them. But I think, a semi-final against Porto or Chelsea, a final against probably City or Bayern, if you are a betting man, I think they've too much quality for us with the defence that we have. I think we're great. Yeah. We can turn around. We could come back and start with Arsenal. We could just blitz teams, and we could do that. But I just think in a one-off game, City and Bayern, the way we are at the moment, I think, and possibly Chelsea, I think they've too much of us. And that's where I think the problem is. If you had fans in the ground, I might be slightly different. Yeah. But with empty stadiums, they're just coming to Anfield going, look, lads, they're struggling at the back. Look who they have playing centre half. They've Kabak and Phillips.
Yeah.
And, they're missing Henderson. They're missing Van Dijk. They're missing Gomez. Mane is not on form. Firmino's wrecked. Wijnaldum's playing every week. There's so many bits in that team where they can just focus for 10 minutes on that area just to tire you. They can focus on another area. Whereas when you come up against Liverpool a year ago, you couldn't focus on nothing. All your focus was trying to stop us because we are so powerful. So, look, we could do it. Anything can happen in football. We've seen it in 2005, but I think, to be fair to the other teams that are in it, when you look at them, the position they're in, the squads they have, and the people they have available, I think you probably make Liverpool out of the 8. You're probably making them 4th or 5th favourites at the moment.
Yeah, like who are we saying? Bayern are definitely ahead. PSG, City. I'd still probably have Chelsea ahead of, like, even Madrid. I know it's not the Madrid that we all know and stuff, but it is still Madrid. Like, they're definitely looking at us saying, geez, that's a good draw for us.
We're both looking at each other thinking the same, I think. We're both looking at each other down.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 brilliant clubs, but look what's happening there. It's more of it's more of a cycle at Madrid, I think, that's coming to an end, and they look to start, whereas we're just being decimated. But they're both looking at that tie, thinking it's a big opportunity. And yourself, you get into a semi-final, anything can happen. We've seen it last season. Lyon beat Man City. You know what I mean? Atlanta nearly got hold of PSG. Anything can happen once you get into a semi-final, but I just think, if you're being extremely honest on it, I think we've just too much to do in that competition. I really do.
Yeah, I just don't. I think I agree with you on the defensive point. If you win a Champions League with that defense, I don't even know what to say anymore after that. Like, that'll just be an insane pull. Yeah, I think we'll beat Madrid. I think it'll be tough, but I think like Chelsea or Porto next round, I think it'll be Chelsea. Be very, very difficult. Like Tommy Tuchel, I just think what he's done for that Chelsea team is unbelievable. But yeah, only time will tell.
Yeah, it will. And you know what? I'd like to, no matter what happens, whether we get in top 4 or don't, or win the Champions League or don't. For me as a Liverpool fan, I don't know what others are going to do, but I'd like to see the vast majority of Liverpool fans go, you know what, shit happens, and don't be too harsh on people, and don't go into next season too down because you will see players come back. You will see movement in the market, I think, and the squad. And we go back into next season, hopefully with fans in the ground, which is massive. Bigger for Liverpool than anyone else, I think. And a squad that's been strengthened, solidified. And you know what? With something to prove, because I look at Salah, I look at Mane, I look at Firmino, Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago, Alisson, Van Dijk, Trent, Robertson, all of these players, and I'd nearly put I would put a lot of money on it that they're going to come out absolutely flying next season with something to prove, because regardless of what's gone on in the situation and what's being thrown at us, they've had some digs thrown at them that I don't think have been deserved. They've been poor at times, but I think there's been digs thrown at certain players and Liverpool as a team that they haven't deserved over this season, and they won't forget that. And I think when they regroup, I think I would fully expect to see Liverpool absolutely gunning for this league next season.
And it's not even like it's social media. Even Trent being left out of the England squad.
Well, Southgate's a fucking disgrace.
Yeah, man's a clown.
Do you know what? Leave him out. Leave him out, because the Liverpool players haven't travelled. There's not a lot of Liverpool players gone on international duty from what I can make out, right? The South Americans obviously didn't have to go. You've seen Kabak go and Ronaldo and stuff. But if you're leaving Alexander-Arnold out, why didn't you just leave him out and say, look, he's played a lot of football, he's fatigued, I've decided to give him a break. You know, he's a young lad, we're looking to protect him. But don't turn around and start telling me that he's not this and he's not that. Like, this is a fella that's meant to be the manager of this fella. He's meant to be looking after him. He's meant to be nurturing him. It's not. Don't think because Gareth Southgate gets hold of him 4 or 5 times a year, he can say whatever he wants about him. Gareth Southgate's a fucking clown. All right, and anybody that thinks that Gareth Southgate behaved in the right way around Trent Alexander-Arnold last week, regardless of what he thinks, what he said was outrageous.
It's a joke. Yeah.
It was outrageous. Yeah, I've never said. Listen. Jesse Lingard is in that squad, right? Okay.
Do you know what's funny? Sorry to cut you off, Gav.
Yeah.
But, Southgate has openly said, "I'm picking players based on form here." So he picks Eric Dyer, probably Spurs' worst player this season. It's not like Eric Dyer, like Trent is seen as world class. Like Eric Dyer is seen as a crap defender, anyways. But he's having the worst season he's ever had. But he still gets picked. Like no sense there at all.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool are a bit irked at this. You know, because conversations go on between clubs and country where you say, listen, he's fucking wrecked. Can we leave him out for a bit? You know, leave him out of this squad. You talk to Trent, well, he's going to leave you out of this squad because we need you. We're struggling for numbers. You know how it's going at Liverpool, right? Why doesn't Southgate just come out, regardless if he thinks he's not on form and he's not this, but his words were, he's leaving him out, and he could do something really good for England in the future. Are you having a fucking laugh? Are you having a laugh?
Man's a donkey.
But listen, I don't mind if Gareth Southgate doesn't rate Trent Alexander-Arnold or Reece James or Trippier, whatever it is. I don't mind that. That's his prerogative. But don't come out and tell me, don't come out to the press and make out that Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't good enough and he might be good enough in the future. A flippant kind of pat on the head to him. You know, this is a Premier League winner and a European Cup winner. You know,
at 20 years of age.
Yeah, and look, you can have as many football views as you want, but if, as I said before, if Gareth Southgate feels that was the way to word that, you know, I don't fucking know, or I don't know. I really don't. Because I wouldn't like Jurgen Klopp to come out and say that about a player. I'd be very confused. And I don't think Jurgen Klopp would. He'd come out and he'd say, we're giving him a rest. He's played a hell of a lot of football. You know, he's not in the best of form. That's absolutely fine. He's not in the best of form. He's fatigued, and we're leaving him aside for a while. But don't make out you're going to pat him on the head and hopefully Trent, you're good enough in a couple of. You telling me Reece James and Trippier is a better football than Trent Alexander-Arnold?
And Trippier having a shit season as well.
But it's not even that. You don't need to say these things. Just be politically correct about it and say, you know the way they do it. They do interviews and they all have the stock answers. For once,
should have trained for it.
Use your stock answer. Like Jesse Lingard's on good form. That's fine. But I can guarantee you, he hasn't made comments about Jesse Lingard 2 years ago saying, he might be in the future, he might be good enough. No, he's probably said, look, Jesse's had a couple of personal issues, which he had, which in fairness, that's fine. But he's never, when's the last time you heard of an international manager pat a fella on the fucking head? You know, you don't do that. But he's a fucking idiot anyway. So like, you know,
Southgate's a clown.
He's living on a World Cup run that, you know, eventually just failed because that's the way it went. But I was upset about what went on with Trent Alexander-Arnold there, and I'd be surprised if Trent and the club aren't as well.
Yeah,
No,
I was very pissed off at that. I think on that note, we'll leave it. Southgate's a dick. Ireland's
He's
a
a fraud.
shambles, and Liverpool are on the rise again. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Just before we wrap it up, Gav, just tell the viewers about the Daytrippers if they haven't seen it already.
So the LFC Daytrippers cover Liverpool. We cover general football. We have a laugh. So what we pride ourselves on is opinion, debate, passion, and laughter. Because that's what it's about. Football is a game. You're meant to enjoy it. So you will see us. If you listen, I could go through all the links and stuff, but I'm not going to. Anywhere you want to find us, whether it's any social media, online websites, whatever, Spotify, anywhere you want, just type in LFC Daytrippers. You'll find us, whether that's you're looking for a social link, a website, somewhere to listen to us, somewhere to watch us, YouTube and stuff, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, and you type in LFC Daytrippers anywhere, and that's where you'll find us across all those different platforms.
Yeah, I think we've the link in the bio to their YouTube channel, so
Good stuff.
that's a good place to start, guys. Definitely check them out. Great channel. Just I want to thank everyone for coming along today. Thank you for all your comments. We didn't get to read out many of them because we're having a good chat there, but we do appreciate every single one of you. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and see you next time.